Welcome all to my personal top 10 games of the year list. These aren't necessarily reviews, they're just my personal favorites of the year. There are two in particular, might be a little controversial, we'll see. Also, I should mention that I'm very sensitive to spoilers, so I'm going to be very careful in not talking about story stuff and things of that nature, so you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, we're just going to be discussing these games and taking a look, so fear not about spoilers, sit back and enjoy. Thank you. Wait, one more thing, make sure to sub and check me on Twitch, the links are below. Alright, let's start off with perhaps the most controversial pick of the list. Perhaps it is 12 minutes. Rarely have I seen reviewers turn so sharply against a game like they have with 12 minutes. The story choices, especially the ending, have really rubbed reviewers the wrong way. It's hard to discuss the game without spoilers, so I'll keep it concise. 12 Minutes is ostensibly a point-and-click adventure puzzle game driven by a dark narrative mystery, and delivered by a star-studded cast like Daisy Ridley and Willem Dafoe. Instead of a large-scale adventure like you'd see in King's Quest, for example, the interactions all take place in a small environment. The advantage here is that nearly every time you ask, "Will the game let me do this?" the game responds, "Yeah." Want to use the knife on the light switch? Okay. How about using the knife on yourself? Sure if you want. That's what I love about 12 Minutes. It lets you tinker with the toy box freely. Unfortunately, the solutions for progression are fairly limited, so expect plenty of red herrings. That's not ideal, but I still had a great time poking at the systems and puzzling out exactly how to unravel this macabre mystery, even if at times it felt restrictive. Next up, Metroid Dread. Metroid-like, or Metroidvania, is still one of my favorite genres, and while I vastly prefer titles like both Ori's, Axiom Verge, and Hollow Knight, Metroid Dread is still a solid game. The art, sound design, stalking Emmys, and challenge all coalesce into a creepy atmosphere, synergized to recall the vibes of the original games, particularly Super Metroid. While I had issues with the map and traversal in general, movement speed is lightning quick, and combat overall is very satisfying. The Emmys didn't work for me, and environmental variety is lacking. But these issues notwithstanding, Metroid Dread mostly succeeds in recapturing the magic of the originals, blemishes and all. Next up is the highly underrated Okay, that's enough, let's go. Speaking of Metroid likes, Narita Boy is pretty good, y'all. The first game developed by Spanish team Studio Koba, Narita Boy boasts gorgeous pixel art with an excellent synth soundtrack, surrounding a captivating 2D action platformer. Make your way through a digital kingdom chock full of retro flavor, upgrading your character while learning about the godlike figure, the creator. Light puzzles and exploration exist as well, but Narita Boy is very much a vibe game above all. Playing this in the dark with headphones has been a singular experience for me, and I hope more people give it a shot, especially with it being free on Game Pass. Although it is on multiple platforms as well, including the Switch. And then we have the horror adventure game, The House of Ashes. I did a full review of House of Ashes on my channel, so I highly recommend checking that for an in-depth analysis. Suffice to say, although Until Dawn easily remains the best game from Supermassive, and my favorite in the genre, House of Ashes tops my list of the 3 dark anthology titles. Man of Medan and Little Hope are good, but this recent release best combines all the elements you expect from these games. An adventure, mystery, horror game with light exploration, QTEs, mysteries to unravel, and most importantly, crucial choices to make that can mean the life or death of all the playable characters. If you love these choose your own adventure games as I do, you owe it to yourself to check out House of Ashes, especially being only $30. The sequel nobody The true sequel to the underrated classic that I did not expect to happen, ActRaiser Renaissance. ActRaiser, in my opinion, is among the most underrated 16-bit games, and this remake mostly captures the magic from 1991. Part God game sim, part side-scrolling action. ActRaiser is a unique, to this day, hybrid that never gets deep into either genre, but that's part of the appeal. Renaissance changes level layouts, adds tower defenses to the mix, an interesting art style, and the option to switch old and new music on the fly, which is something I always appreciate. They took some risks, which may be off-putting to some fans of the classic, but for me, mostly pays off nicely. I still have the original, it still rules, so it's nice to have this new remix of the formula. Did I mention that the music is once again God tier? ActRaiser Renaissance takes chances while maintaining the spirit of the original, and that may not appeal to everyone, but I'm just overjoyed ActRaiser finally got the true sequel it so richly, for decades, deserved. Perhaps I shouldn't have been so surprised, but Psychonauts 2 slaps. I have a confession, I've never played the first Psychonauts, though I have watched full playthroughs. It seemed unique but flawed. The sequel seems to clear up many of the archaic designs while maintaining the quirky charm and fun gameplay. Interesting characters, witty dialogue, gorgeous art design, and diverse music. Psychonauts 2 delivers weighty topics in a digestible and respectful manner. Mental health awareness continues to grow, thankfully, and it's nice to see a game at least attempt to tackle the complexities of the human brain. Did I mention the gorgeous art? German expressionism, popularized by Tim Burton, color the characters and environments dramatically, making me constantly stop and stare. If you're a completionist, get strapped in, because whoa boy is this game overflowing with collectibles. Psychonauts 2 is an inspired 3D action platformer that still has some rough edges, but I would absolutely recommend it to everyone. And hey, it's free on Game Pass day one. God, I'm such a stan for Game Pass. I'm not a huge competitive multiplayer guy, but damn, Battlefield 2042 is fun. It easily makes my list. Let's just get this out of the way. I'm not a huge multiplayer guy, and other than playing a ton of Battlefield 1, I'm a total neophyte to the series. I've heard a lot of negativity towards 2042, and I'm not saying they're wrong, but maybe the fact that this is all so new and fresh to me is why I enjoy it so much. It's pure bedlam, utter madness, and I'm so here for it. Having 128 players fighting a war on massive and mostly interesting maps is a blood rush to the head. The chaos of planes, tanks, helicopters, and foot soldiers all converging in an absurdly fantastic fashion is both dizzying and harrowing, and leads to riotously funny moments. Yeah, I suck at shooters, except for Overwatch, but it doesn't matter in Battlefield 2042. You're meant to die if you jump into the fray, but that also means it can be easier to get kills. Strapping on a homing missile and blasting an annoying helicopter full of foes, then shoot anyone down who is trying to parachute to safety. That is never not satisfying, and it can be just as fun when it happens to you. Yes, it can also be frustrating, legging out a long, uneventful journey only to get head sniped just as you reach your destination sucks big time. And the game, as of this recording, can be very janky at times. So it definitely ain't perfect. I still vastly prefer Battlefield 1, and maybe 2042 is one of the weakest entries overall, but in my opinion stands on its own as a unique and mostly exhilarating experience that this newcomer thoroughly enjoys. Number 3. Resident Evil. I don't know how it happened, but like a parasite turning you into a zombie, I've slowly and unknowingly became a Resident Evil fan in recent years. The 2 remake, then the 1 remake, then 7 on Game Pass all made me realize this truth. And yep, the 8th entry does not disappoint. Whereas Resident Evil 7 was a throwback to OG Resident Evil, Village is a total love letter to the beloved Resident Evil 4. It's creepy, yes, but also has absurd over-the-top action that had me more than once on the edge of my seat. The boss designs are so well done. No, I'm not talking about Lady D. God, that was weird, huh? Okay, actually, mild spoiler, Lady D's final form is pretty damn epic. I especially loved when the game opened up more and allowed for exploration and secret finding, including awesome hidden mini boss encounters. The balancing of combat and resource management is my absolute favorite aspect to the franchise, and once again, it is just so beautifully designed. I never felt completely set, but also was never out of options entirely. Resident Evil 2 Remake is still my favorite Resident Evil, and maybe my favorite horror game en masse. But Village might, just might, be my second favorite Resident Evil ever. Again, I'm a latecomer to the series, but you better believe I'm day one on the next entry, and I hope to see you when I stream. This was a close one for number 1 and number 2. And I've actually never played a Ratchet game before, and I don't know why, because Ratchet & Clank A Rift Apart easily makes number 2 and comes super close to my number 1 game of the year. It's good. Yeah, I've never played a Ratchet game, and yes, I now feel appropriately dumb, but that also means I was able to experience Rift Apart with fresh, unbiased eyes. And man, this game rules. The now Sony-owned Insomniac has been on fire in the last handful of years, making AAA video game-ass video games that focus on fun above all. And Rift Apart may just be my favorite of the bunch. This game perhaps best showcases next-gen potential with incredibly taut gameplay, buttery smooth 60 frames action, and nigh non-existent loading. It's a glimpse of the future, but also a love letter to old-school 3D action platforming collectathon goodness. The Rift mechanic is basically a glorified grapple hook, but it's still super cool and further highlights the exciting and speedy movement. Add on a bevy of helpful and quirky options like Big Head mode and altered visuals, and Rift Apart easily earns my number 2 spot of best 2021 games, coming oh so close to topping the list. Again, this was very close, but ultimately for my game of the year of 2021, I gave it to Returnal. While Rift Apart is a love letter to a certain classic era of gaming, Returnal is a wholly fresh take. Inspired by a number of genres like shoot-em-ups, roguelikes, Metroid-likes, and horror, Returnal doesn't revolutionize one single type of game, but rather combines them in a way I've personally never seen before. I mean, even just taking a top-down shooter and making it third-person 3D, while using eerie, atmospheric music. That is a bold, inspired risk. You might expect an up-tempo electro-synth soundtrack, or perhaps aggressive metal guitars like in Doom, but not here. It's moody and builds slowly, a beautifully haunting crescendo that perfectly complements the frenetic action. Speaking of action, oh Nelly does this game slap. Movement is fast and fluid, a necessity considering how intense combat can get. And the boss battles, my goodness. The way the music, sound, enemy patterns, and movement combine, it might just have one of my favorite boss encounters ever. It's cliche to say you get in the zone and become one with the game, but I 100% did. Now if you're worried about the roguelike elements, fear not. I'm not a huge fan of the subgenre, but it works wonderfully in Returnal. The upgrades and lore are still new to me after dozens of hours. Playing Returnal with headphones in the dark is emotionally powerful. All the disparate aspects and genres fuse together into a singular experience I've rarely felt. Even after the credits rolled, I'm still stoked to find all the secrets, flesh out the rest of the lore, and get the secret ending I've heard about. It's challenging, yes, but in my opinion, not insurmountable by most players. There cannot exist a quote-unquote perfect game, but now that they patched in a proper mid-game save feature, the PS5 exclusive Returnal is in my opinion about as close as you can get, and it is my favorite game of 2021. Well, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, all the support on YouTube, for coming by on Twitch and hanging out. We are an affiliate, so we can have a lot of fun there. I wanted to give an honorable mention to Mario 3D Bowser's Fury. The new stuff, there isn't a ton of it, but it's really good. And I hope that the future of Mario 3D, mainline Mario, goes in that open world direction. It's really good. Certainly an honorable mention. Yeah. That's all my notes, so thank you guys so much, and I will see you on the next one. Wait, one more thing. Wait, one more thing. Make sure to sub and Twitch. Wait, one more thing. Make sure to sub and Twitch and join me there and support the channel. Thank you. Wait, one more thing. Make sure to sub. Check me on Twitch. And the links are below. Okay, let's go. Wait, one more thing. Make sure to sub and follow me on Twitch and all that. God, I'm terrible at self-promotion. Okay, on with the show. Wait.